From ugly duckling to New York's beauty queen, Millionaire's wife shows him what he lost. In the heart of Manhattan, the air buzzed with excitement. The annual gala was more than just an event, it was the social highlight of the year. As the lights glittered like rare diamonds, a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes were on her. Mia Larson, the woman who had transformed from an awkward teenager with braces to the stunning, poised figure reigning over the night. Rumors swirled. Had she really left her husband, the millionaire, to turn every head in the city? Everyone felt a shiver as a chill swept through the ballroom. Mia glided through the room, her designer gown clinging to her like a second skin, shimmering under the glow of chandeliers. She was a vision, dark hair cascading, lips painted a daring red, a smile that could ignite flames. But the whispers behind her back painted a darker picture. What had she sacrificed for this beauty? Some said she had sold her soul, others claimed she was blessed by an unexpected fairy godmother. In one corner, a group of society ladies traded glances layered with jealousy and intrigue. "Can you believe she's back?" After all he put her through, one gasped, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her champagne flute, the sound sharp and accusing. A breathless gasp rippled through the crowd as a furious figure stepped from the shadows. Ethan, Mia's estranged husband, stood rigid, his jaw clenched, fury flashing in his eyes. What had he felt when he realized she had outshone him? As the night unfolded, Mia's laughter filled the air, a melody that made hearts flutter and envy simmer. Yet whenever she laughed, her eyes held a flicker of something haunting. Was it regret? Or was it revenge coursing through her veins? The emotional currents were palpable. She was a woman of mystery, a riddle wrapped in beauty that everyone craved to decipher. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Ethan's voice cut through her reverie, low and seething. "So, this is the new you?" he challenged, his words like daggers aimed straight at her heart. The silence that followed was deafening. Mia felt a lump in her throat, but her eyes sparkled defiantly. Did she feel stronger, or had the pressure of the past built walls too thick to break? The tension hung in the air, electric and thick. Could it be that the truth behind her transformation was buried deeper than anyone realized? What did she truly want, and what would happen when those walls finally came crashing down? As the clock ticked closer to midnight, an unshakable feeling settled in the pit of Mia's stomach. Tonight wouldn't just determine her fate, it would unearth the ghosts of yesterday. And with a heartbeat that echoed in her ears, she swore she felt them closing in. What lay beneath the surface, waiting to be unveiled? Mia took a deep breath, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Ethan's presence felt like a storm cloud hovering above her. The tension from their last encounter still crackled in the air like static. The crowd around them was oblivious, lost in the ethereal glow of the gala, while she felt a reality unspooling around her. "Isn't it wonderful?" she replied, her voice steady. "Everything I've dreamed of." But inside, her heart raced. She was standing back in the haunted place they had built together, feeling the weight of all the broken pieces that had once felt so familiar. "Dreams," he spat, eyes narrowing with disdain. "Or just a facade to hide what you've really become?" His words cut, sharper than any blade, and she felt herself shrinking despite the grandeur surrounding them. Mia turned her back to him, desperate to gather herself. The dance floor pulsed with laughter and music, but all she could hear was the sound of her own pulse, and just beneath it, the echoes of her past. As she scanned the crowd, a flash of gold caught her attention. It was Lily, her old friend, standing by the entrance with an awkward grin. They hadn't spoken since the split, an uncomfortable silence forming a wall between them. But tonight, the wall felt insurmountable. Lily approached cautiously, her eyes flitting between Ethan and Mia. "Wow, Mia! You look incredible," she stammered, and Mia's heart squeezed with an old familiarity. She craved connection, but it felt like stepping into a chasm. "Thank you," Mia replied, forcing enthusiasm. "I just wanted to see how far I could go." She sensed Ethan's eyes bore into her, judging, poised to dismiss everything she had worked for. "You're like a star," Lily continued, her nervousness fading as she focused entirely on Mia. "But don't forget where you came from. You're still you." The reminder buzzed in her chest. Could she really escape the past? Maybe she could embrace it instead. But before she could process those thoughts, Ethan stepped back into the conversation. "Isn't it past time for you to leave this charade, Mia?" he interrupted coldly. "This isn't you." He paused dramatically. "Phony." Gasps broke out among onlookers. People leaned in, whispering. A triangle of energy formed, crackling half gossip and half truth. "Phony?" she echoed, voice trembling. "What do you know about me? About what I've become?" Her resolve solidified in that burning moment, every fear igniting into determination. Ethan smirked. "More than you know, I'm sure." Something in his tone warned her. He knew more than he let on. Was he hiding secrets? Or was he really probing the wounds he'd once inflicted? She felt raw, opened, exposed. Abruptly, the clock struck 12. Mia's breath hitched as the room erupted into cheers, but the celebration felt hollow. A sudden surge of anxiety washed over her. It wasn't just the midnight hour or the culmination of the night, it was the dawning realization that secrets beyond her own loomed, ready to emerge from the shadows. As the crowd cheered, she was gripped by a sense of lurking danger. What had Ethan meant? And what had she forgotten in the fog of her ambition? With the music blaring around them, she felt a heart-wrenching pull to the past, the path that could shatter everything she'd built. What had been unleashed when the clock struck? Mia wasn't done dancing with her demons, not yet, and as doubt clawed at her, the air shimmered with dark potential. In that moment, she understood, the real party was just beginning. With her heart pounding, she turned to face Ethan once more. "Tell me what you know," she demanded, her voice unwavering, determination igniting in her eyes. And when she spotted them, a pair of familiar faces slipping through the throng, bringing an icy dread flooding back, and she whispered to herself, "What are they doing here?" Secrets were about to unravel, and she was trapped in the web of her own making. Mia's gaze snapped toward the figures weaving between the glitzy crowd. Heart pounding, she tried to force her mind to function. Who would dare enter her life at this moment, in this place? Her breath quickened as the faces cleared into view. Frank and Alice, the duo that had once been her closest friends before everything shattered. They looked like they had stepped straight out of a magazine, dressed to the nines with a confidence that made her feel small and forgotten. Just the day before, the mere idea of seeing them would have sent her into a spiral of anxiety. But tonight was different. "Hey, stranger!" Frank smiled, but there was an edge to it. Mia felt her body coil, the shadows of her past creeping back like a bad memory. "What are you doing here?" she blurted, her tone sharper than she intended. Their presence was a flash flood of emotions: betrayal, longing, anger, all swirling inside her. Alice stepped closer, her smile faltering. "We just wanted to support you, Mia. It's great to see you shining." There was almost a hint of sympathy, understanding, even, but it felt like a mask hiding the reality of why they had broken apart. "Mia!" Ethan's voice cut through the thrum of background noise, laced with mockery. "Look who's come to watch your big moment." He leaned in closer, his breath brushing against her ear like ice. "Are you really going to let these frauds steal your thunder?" The tension wrapped around her like a vice grip. Would Frank and Alice betray her? The thought made her stomach churn. They had once laughed together, shared secrets in smoky bars, but everything had changed. And Ethan knew it. "No one's stealing anything," Mia shot back, her voice dangerously low. "Not tonight." "Is that so?" he mocked, glancing toward the pair, lingering on Frank. "Maybe I should remind them about that little scandal you tried so hard to forget." The laughter around them faded as silence stretched, eyes darting between her and the trio. Her heart raced as if it were a ticking bomb. What could he possibly tell them? Suddenly, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd as people raised their glasses, oblivious to the storm brewing in their midst. A flash from a photographer briefly illuminated Mia's face, capturing the tableau of her personal chaos. She was aware of the cameras, the gossip, and the tension radiating from her former friends. "What is he talking about?" Frank asked with a crease of concern on his brow, eyes narrowing ever so slightly on Ethan. "Nothing," Mia said quickly. "He's just trying to get under my skin, you know him." But as she said it, she felt the vulnerability creep in, uncertainty gnawing at her gut. "Is that what they call trying?" "Because it looks more like a home run," Ethan said, crossing his arms smugly, confident that he had struck a nerve. The world around her spun. Mia could feel every whisper, every gaze, as if they were blades tearing into her. She was painfully aware of the stakes, but she refused to show weakness. If anything, it spurred her onward. She couldn't let this be her story. Not tonight. "Enough!" she finally shouted, her voice cracking like glass. It drew the attention of everyone nearby. "You don't get to define me, Ethan, not anymore. You've done enough damage. And as for you two," she pivoted towards Frank and Alice, her expression steely, "are we going to have this conversation now, or are we walking out together from this?" The air thick with unspoken words, Mia stood firm, ready to face whatever truth lay hidden beneath the surface. The theater of lies, betrayals, and unresolved tensions had converged into a single moment, and she knew it was only the beginning. "Tell me everything," she demanded, feeling the pulse of revelation behind her words. And as the crowd swarmed around them, she braced herself for the tsunami of secrets about to crash down on her. What would they reveal? What could be hidden in the depths of friendship turned betrayal? The answers were looming close, and Mia felt both excited and terrified as the shadows of her past beckoned her once more. She was about to confront everything. Could she really handle the truth? Mia could see the hesitation in Frank and Alice's eyes. The glitzy crowd around them buzzed with anticipation, unaware of the emotional storm brewing just outside their spotlight. Her heart pounded against her chest, the air thickening with the weight of unspoken words. Frank glanced at Alice, then back at Mia, his expression shifting from curiosity to concern. "Mia, we didn't come to cause trouble," he said, his tones softening. "We only wanted to," he faltered, searching for the right words. "Wanted to what? Apologize?" Mia's voice sliced through the air, sharp enough to make a few passers-by flinch. "Do you think that's going to fix everything? The lies? The backstabbing?" Alice stepped forward, arms raised in a gesture of peace. "It was a mistake. We didn't think it would go this far," she implored. "We were trying to protect you. We thought what?" Mia interrupted, her voice rising again as bitterness clawed at her. "Thought I was too weak to handle the truth. You didn't protect me, you abandoned me when I needed you most." "Enough!" Ethan boomed, his laughter echoing through the confusion. "Isn't this just perfect? The ugly duckling has become a fierce swan, and look at the friends she has outgrown." He cast a mocking glance at Frank and Alice. "You should all be so proud. Or is it too late for that?" Mia's temper flared, igniting an even deeper sense of urgency within her. She needed to regain control. "This isn't about you, Ethan," she said, her voice steadying as she locked eyes with him, refusing to be manipulated any longer. "This is about us." But the words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. The crowd shifted, murmurs rippling around them, a wave of fascination and judgment. Mia felt their eyes burning, waiting for the next act of this unfolding drama. "Okay," Frank said, rubbing the back of his neck as if that might soothe the awkwardness. "Let's just talk this through. We're all adults here. We've all made mistakes." The crowd sensed the tension and a few people began to pull out their phones, recording the spectacle. Anxiety twisted in Mia's stomach. She could be pulled under, suffocated by the weight of public opinion. What if this sudden confrontation turned them against her? Mia took a deep breath. "Talk," she repeated, finding strength from within. "Tell me what you really came to say." Because I'm not playing games anymore, and if you think I'm going to let you walk back into my life without the truth, you're dead wrong. Ethan leaned in closer, his voice low and taunting. This is what you wanted, isn't it? The spotlight? The drama? I'm just giving it to you. Shut up. She spat, shooting a glare at him, silencing his smug expression. Every flicker of her anger channeled into focus. Maybe she could use Ethan's chaos to force the truth out of Frank and Alice. Tell me about the scandal, she said, narrowing her eyes at Frank. Because whatever it was, it's still haunting me. So you either come clean, or I take it to the next level. The tension thickened, as if the air was charged with electricity. Frank opened his mouth to speak, hesitance dancing across his features, but before he could respond, a sudden shout came from the crowd. Look! Over there! A voice pierced through, drawing everyone's attention away from the trio. Heads turned as gasps echoed through the gathered spectators. Mia's heart raced, adrenaline surging as she saw what held everyone's gaze, a figure emerging from the shadows at the entrance, someone unexpected yet familiar, their presence more disruptive than anything else she could have imagined. Who? Mia's voice trailed off as she squinted into the dazzling lights, her breath hitching in her throat. And just like that, the stakes escalated even higher. Was someone from her past finally ready to unearth the hidden whispers? What secrets lay buried beneath the surface that entirely shifted her world again? Mia felt the tremors of a new storm building, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to face it. But she had to. Because if she didn't, everything she fought for could vanish in an instant. In the frenzied commotion, she realized her greatest battle was just beginning. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, minds racing with speculation as the figure stepped fully into the light. Mia's breath caught as recognition hit her like a punch to the gut. It was Sarah, her childhood best friend, the one she had lost to the tides of betrayal and silence. But now, here she was, dressed to the nines, hair perfect, exuding an elegance Mia could never have mustered in that moment of chaos. Sarah? Mia whispered, her voice trembling as if she couldn't believe her own eyes. The crowd parted in hushed anticipation, the tension so thick it could almost be sliced with a knife. This was not how Mia had envisioned her reunion, especially not like this. Sarah's gaze met Mia's, and for just a moment, the world around them faded into a blur. There was a flicker of uncertainty before her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mia could almost feel the ice radiating from Sarah's perfectly manicured hands. It's been a while, Sarah said, her tone showcasing that practiced friendliness mingled with underlying tension. The crowd anxiously held their breath, eager for the drama to unfold. I thought you were gone, Mia managed to stutter, her mind racing. What was Sarah doing here now of all places? Isn't that what they say about me? Sarah shot back, her voice dripping with sarcasm before she quickly plastered on a facade of sweetness. Poisoned the well, and everyone turned away, right? Funny how that tends to happen in this city. Mia could feel the heat rising to her cheeks, a cocktail of anger and shame spinning in her gut. You came here to gloat? Sarah stepped closer, cutting through the growing buzz. The crowd leaned in, eager for every word. Oh, honey. I didn't come to gloat. I came to reclaim what was stolen. What are you talking about? Mia shot back, her heart pounding in her chest. More secrets? More lies? Something ugly was clawing its way out, and she could feel the walls closing in around her. In the periphery, Frank and Alice exchanged glances filled with muted horror, like ghosts reliving a haunting memory. What had they done? What were they hiding? Oh, you really don't know, do you? Sarah leaned in, her voice a conspirator's whisper. Isn't that just like them? Leaving you in the dark while they whispered sweet nothings behind your back. The crowd gasped in unison, and Mia swallowed hard, feeling her palms sweat. Stop it! Mia screamed, frustration bubbling over. Enough with the games. But Sarah simply smiled, a sly, knowing expression that sent icy tendrils of dread spiraling through Mia. This was turning into a nightmare, and she could sense the spectators recording every moment, their excitement feeding her anxiety like a ravenous beast. With the shadows of the past creeping back into her life, Mia felt a surge of determination stand firm inside her. Tell me what you want, Sarah. Because I won't let you twist this into your game. Oh, sweet Mia, Sarah replied calmly, it's never been a game to me. It's always been about survival. The air crackled with uncertainty as the crowd collectively held its breath, and in that taut silence, Mia felt her world shift again. What did Sarah know? What would she reveal? As Mia opened her mouth to respond, the sound of glass shattering echoed in the distance, drawing everyone's attention momentarily away. Was this chaos a distraction? Or was it the trigger that would reveal everything once and for all? And just like that, the storm was no longer just inside Mia. It was ready to explode. As she looked into Sarah's unfathomable gaze, she braced herself. Could she face what lay ahead? Or would everything she thought she'd buried come crashing down around her once more? Mia clenched her fists, ready to fight as questions loomed ominously. Who was truly in control of the narrative unfolding before her? And would she have the strength to rewrite her story before it unraveled completely? The glass shattered like a bomb dropping in the middle of the chaos, the sound reverberating through the crowd. For a heartbeat, shocked gasps ricocheted off the walls, and panic sparked in their eyes. Mia glanced toward the source of the break. A couple of tables had toppled over, drinks splattered, and a cluster of people was scrambling to comprehend what just happened. Get it together! She shouted, forcing the commanding tone through her rising panic. But she felt it, a whiplash of tension tightening around her throat. All eyes were still on Sarah, waiting, wanting. With a flick of her wrist, Sarah gestured toward the commotion, her lips twisting into a smirk. Distraction? Or a divine intervention? Mia felt the world tilt. What do you want from me? The anger that had blazed inside her flared up again, a response to the piercing mockery in Sarah's voice. The crowd was heavy with breathless anticipation, feeling the electric charge between the two women. Sarah, leaning in just a fraction more, seemed to savor the moment. You really don't get it, do you? Everything I've lost, everything you took from me is screaming to be reclaimed. Reclaimed? Mia spat back, her voice trembling with emotion. You thought you could just waltz in here and take what never belonged to you. I thought you were smarter than that. Sarah's eyes glinted with something dark and twisted. You don't see the web they've spun around you. Frank and Alice. They've kept you blissfully unaware while they feasted on the remains of what used to be us. What you used to be. A shudder of realization crept through Mia's spine. The crowd was now murmuring, sharing furtive glances, eyes filled with curiosity and concern. What are you talking about? Her words felt like lead, heavy and burdensome. They never stopped. They just adapted. I may have been the sacrificial lamb, but you, Sarah leaned closer, her breath ghosting against Mia's cheek, you were the prize. Can't you see how they've played you against me? Mia staggered back, her heart pounding like war drums. Memories she thought she had locked away surged to the surface. Betrayal, whispers, the fallout that had turned their world upside down. No. They wouldn't. Oh, but they would, Sarah purred, the confidence in her voice sending a chill down Mia's spine. Just because they smiled at you doesn't mean they weren't spinning their own narrative. With those words, an avalanche of dread cascaded over Mia, dragging her down into doubt. The words hung in the air heavy with implications. What had she overlooked? What had she trusted too blindly? A flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye caught her attention. Frank stood at the edge of the crowd, his face drained of color, eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. Alice stood beside him, mouth a thin line, the tightness of panic written all over her features. Frank! Mia called, her desperation spilling over. You have to tell me the truth. What has she done? But before he could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows behind him, a silhouette cloaked in mystery. The crowd parted as it stepped into the light, drawing even more gasps and stares. Mia's breath caught again. What now? The familiar gleam of empty promises hung in the air as dread twisted in Mia's gut. Was it another betrayal? Or a truth long hidden, now clawing its way into the open? Enough! The voice cut through the melee, sharp and commanding. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted, a new storm breaching the calm. Mia faced the newcomer, her heart racing even faster. Who was this person, and what did they bring? Would their confession be the key to unlock this whirlwind of deceit? Or would it drag her under for good? Mia squinted, trying to make sense of the dark figure stepping into the light. The air felt thick, almost suffocating. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, collectively waiting for the name to be spoken, the recognition to strike like a bolt of lightning. As the figure moved closer, Mia could finally see the sharp features and striking eyes that seemed to draw everyone in. It was Destiny, Sarah's old friend, who had vanished from their lives the moment everything fell apart. Her presence was like a wildfire testing the edges of a dry forest, wild and unpredictable. "What are you doing here?" Mia demanded, feeling her skin prickle. "You have no place in this." Destiny laughed softly, the sound like a broken glass piece slicing through the tension. "No place? Is that what you think? These games? I helped orchestrate them." Her smile twisted in knowing amusement. "You really have no idea how deep this goes, do you?" Mia's stomach churned. Orchestrate? Words felt foreign, as if the very ground beneath her had betrayed her. "You mean to say you were in on it? You and Sarah?" "Of course. But let us not waste time on the past. It's the present you should be worried about." Destiny's voice picked up an edge. "Frank and Alice think they're so clever, keeping you blissfully unaware. But they underestimate the lengths I'll go to reclaim what's mine." "What's yours?" Mia shot back, breath hitching. "You think you deserve to waltz back in and take credit?" Destiny stepped forward, an almost predatory glint in her eye. "It's not about credit, Mia. It's about power. You wield it like a child's toy, while she gestured to the crowd, I've played this game long before you were even aware there was a game to play." Mia felt the world closing in around her. The murmurs in the crowd intensified, ripples of fear and speculation swirling like a dangerous storm. She needed answers. "Frank! Alice! Someone please!" She turned back, frantic. Frank's wide eyes only added to her unease. But Destiny stepped in front of him, blocking Mia's access. "They want to help you now. You're on your own," she whispered, the venom dripping from her words. "How does it feel to be the pawn, Mia?" The thought echoed in her mind, gnawing at her sense of self. Had she really been just playing the part of a fool, manipulated by those she trusted? "Stop! You don't know anything!" Mia shouted, desperation bleeding into anger. "They may not be perfect, but they've never betrayed me." A sinister smile curled on Destiny's lips, matching Sarah's earlier arrogance. "Sweet, naive Mia. You've always been blind to the truth. You were never meant to be their beloved. That part was for me." The crowd gasped, a wave of shock rolling through them as whispers became frenzied speculation. Tension hung in the air like an impending storm. There was no returning to normalcy. Mia's hands trembled, her heart thudding in her ears. Just as she opened her mouth to shout at Sarah and Destiny, the lights flickered ominously. The room was thrust into dimness, groans and whispers spiraling in the darkness. Mia felt heat rising, her instincts screaming at her to run. "No! What's happening?" But the lights stayed dim, only silhouettes flickered under the darkened room. Suddenly, a scream sliced through the tension, piercing and raw. Mia's heartbeat quickened, bluffing through the muffled chaos. What happened next would change everything. Who was hurt? Who was in danger? In that moment of frantic confusion, the truth danced just out of her grasp, the shadows whispering dark promises of revelation. Was the game just about to begin? Mia's heart raced as the scream echoed off the walls like ice shattering. Panic seized the crowd. Shadows swayed, merging into phantoms of fear. She tried to pierce through the dark, searching for familiar faces, but the swirling mass of bodies seemed alien, each one a ghost hiding secrets. "Someone, help!" a frantic voice cried from the back. The words snapped like a whip in the thick air, drawing collective breaths. A spotlight flickered back to life, illuminating a figure huddled on the ground, clutching a bleeding hand. "Is it Alice?" Mia's mind churned over the possibilities. The room smelled of sweat and dread, its potency only reminding her of their previous discussions about trust. Was it betrayal that brought them here? Destiny grinned, holding Mia's gaze with a predatory intensity. What did I tell you? The present is a treacherous place. Your friends may not be as loyal as you think. Shut up. Mia gasped, shoving Destiny aside, feeling the residual coldness of her glimmering presence. She pushed her way through the crowd, her resolve sharpening. She had to get to Alice or Frank. Where are you? She called out, her voice shaky but determined. Just then, a flash of movement caught Mia's eye. Someone darted toward the exit, black hair, familiar silhouette. Sarah! Mia screamed, instinctively pushing through the throng. But before she could reach her, the lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness. Mia! Frank's voice called out, strained. The sincerity in his tone cut through her fear. Was he all right? Yes. I'm here, she yelled, trying to use the sound of his voice as a guide. Panic threaded through her veins again. Alice is hurt. We need to get help. A cacophony of disoriented shouts erupted around them. Some people shoved their way towards the exit, while others hunched down, afraid and uncertain. The energy swirled, suffocating, and then abruptly, the lights flashed back on. The sight that met Mia's eyes froze her in place. On the ground, Alice lay crumpled, a deep crimson stain blossoming from her palm. Frank was kneeling beside her, a look of horror etched on his face. Mia! It's bad, he croaked, eyes wide with panic. Someone did this to her. She was trying to warn us before warn us. Just the thought of danger lurking nearby sent cold chills down her spine. The air was heavy with malicious intent. From what? About Destiny, he breathed, his gaze flicking towards the side where Destiny still stood, arms crossed with a malicious smirk, like she'd gained strength from their chaos. At that moment, the crowd's whispers morphed into a tide of confusion, everyone pointing, gasping, recalling moments leading up to this disaster. Mia felt her anxiety twist into a coil, tightening around her chest. Destiny's voice broke through the murmurs. You still think you're safe? This game is just getting started, and the rules? They change on a dime. Her cutthroat smile widened evilly as she surveyed the chaos she had sparked. What do you want? Mia's voice quivered with indignation, desperation bleeding through her frustration. She needed answers, and she needed act fast. A flick of Destiny's wrist drew attention. A tiny flash of metal glinted in her hand, a knife. I'm here for what I'm owed, she replied, almost sing-song, and nothing will stop me from reclaiming my throne. Everything tensed, the air electrified, the crowd holding its breath again. Mia felt everything spiral into darkness, the weight of revelation sending shivers through each participant in this twisted game. Was this the end? Would they all fall prey to Destiny's chaos as Alice lay helpless and bleeding at their feet? And as uncertainty hung thick in the air, Mia vowed to uncover the truth. She had to outsmart the player who thought she was still in control. But how? The next move waited on the horizon, a shadow rising against the darkness. Mia's chest tightened as she watched the blade glint between Destiny's fingers, an ominous promise of what was to come. Panic clung to her like a suffocating blanket. She couldn't focus on how Alice was bleeding out, and now this too Destiny had turned a night meant for celebration into a nightmare. Back away from her! Mia shouted, her voice trembling with rage. Frank's face went pale, his eyes darting between Mia and Destiny. He seemed to know that the air brimming with tension could burst at any second. Well, well, Mia, Destiny sang, taking slow, deliberate steps forward. The knife dangled playfully at her side while she surveyed the chaos with a manic happiness. This show is just getting its grand act. But you're missing the best part. Don't you want to know the truth? Mia stood her ground, though it felt more like a feeble act against a relentless tide. What truth? Is this what you call fun? You're sick. Frank reached out a hand to Mia, his face pinched in worry. We have to help Alice. We can't. Destiny interrupted, slipping into a mockery of a whisper. Let us see how this unfolds first. The more the merrier, right? Let us enjoy the show. She motioned with the knife, a sinister glint in her eyes. It was clear she found power in this moment of chaos, and Mia felt the weight of dread heighten with every pulse of her racing heart. Mia Alice's voice barely broke through the turmoil, each word a painful struggle. It's its destiny. We were wrong before she could finish. The lights dimmed again, flickering like a heartbeat. Every flash came with a sense of growing urgency, a countdown to inevitable doom. The crowd gasped as darkness swallowed them once more. Then, without warning, a piercing scream echoed through the hall. The sheer horror rippled through the crowd like electricity, pushing people towards the walls in a desperate attempt to escape the impending danger. Mia took a step closer to Frank, her breath quickening as she felt his warm presence beside her, like a lifeline in the storm. We can't let her control us, she whispered, her eyes fixed on the direction of Destiny's taunting laughter. We have to stay strong. Suddenly, the lights came back blinding and bright. Mia's heart dropped. Where there had been laughter, there was now chaos. The spotlight shone on someone at the edge of the crowd, drenched in shadows. It was Sarah. Mia! Frank! Sarah shouted, frantically waving her arms. There's no time. We need to go. Now! But before Mia could respond, the shadows around Sarah shimmered like they were alive. Dark shapes began to emerge, creeping closer with an insidious purpose. Mia's stomach dropped as she recognized the movements. The silhouettes weren't just figments of fear, they were real. Destiny! Mia yelled, her voice slicing through the panic. What have you done? Just a little persuasion, Destiny replied with an infuriatingly calm smile, gesturing to the gathering dark figures. Think of them as friends who've come to help, or destroy, whatever you prefer. The crowd erupted into wild panic again, bodies crashing into one another, as everyone scrambled for the exits. Mia felt the surge of chaos wash over her, the screams melting into a cacophony of terror. Frank! She cried, reaching for his hand. She needed him. They needed to stand together against whatever had been unleashed. They fought their way through the throng, heads twisting to catch glimpses of the shadows growing closer, an impending storm brewing in the corner of her vision. Mia! We can't stay. They're closing in. Frank shouted above the chaos. His grip on her hand was fierce, grounding her in the midst of mounting dread. With adrenaline surging, she nodded. Let us get Alice out. We can help her. But as they turned to face the crumpled figure on the floor, the lights flickered once more, and a chilling sensation crept up Mia's spine. The shadows moved. A figure detached itself from the crowded wall and advanced toward them, an unbearable weight of impending doom living in the nearly tangible darkness. Was this the moment they lost everything? Mia squared her shoulders, igniting into life the flickering spark of defiance within herself, ready to fight against Destiny's control. She couldn't just stand by while the night turned into a horror show. But before she could act, the figure stepped into the spotlight, revealing a face she never expected to see. Mia? The familiar voice sent tremors of confusion through her. This was not part of the game. Had everyone been lying to her? The truth hung in the air like a hovering storm cloud, ready to unleash chaos at any moment. Mia's heart sank as she recognized the figure stepping into the light. It was her father, brighter and sharper than she remembered. Dad? It came out like a breathless whisper, disbelief coursing through her veins. Did he come to rescue her, to anchor her amidst this storm of betrayal? The noise around them dissolved, and suddenly the chaos felt like a distant echo. He looked different, wearing a tailored suit that shouted success. Yet those familiar eyes held something deeper: concern, fear, and something unspoken. Mia, we need to leave. Now! His voice cut through the noise, unwavering and urgent as he stepped closer, eyeing the shadows creeping along the walls with apprehension. Leave? You're serious? She exclaimed, feeling the tide of emotions crashing around her. What is happening? What did you come here for? The buzz of the crowd crept back in, filling her ears again as Destiny continued to revel in her theatrics. Those dark shadows still lurked, throbbing with menace. Mia, don't listen to them, her father said, shaking his head, looking towards the crowd with palpable worry. This isn't just about the gala. It's bigger than all of this. You're in danger. Every instinct inside her screamed to run, but her feet felt glued to the ground. Danger? From whom? Sarah? Destiny? What's going on? Desperation clawed at her, demanding answers she feared were too wrapped in chaos to comprehend. Before he could answer, Destiny laughed, her voice sharp and melodic, piercing through their shared moment. Oh, sweet little Mia, even your father knows he is too late. The game has already begun. Enough! Mia shouted, finally finding her voice amidst the panic. I'm tired of being the pawn, tired of being pushed around. Can't you see? This is our story. She turned back to her father, trying to restore some clarity. But what do you know? Why are you here? His expression tightened, the burden of too many secrets etching deeper lines into his face. I was trying to protect you. I thought if I stayed away, I could shield you from this. From what? The truth? Is that the illusion you think I need? At that moment, Frank squeezed Mia's hand tighter, his presence grounding her once more. Alice needs help. Can we focus on her first? He urged, glancing nervously at Alice, whose breath was shallow with fear and pain. Right. Mia agreed, fighting against the shadow pulling at her consciousness. We'll deal with all of this later together. She could almost feel the strength she'd built battling to face everything head-on. Destiny stepped forward, a smirk still twitching at the corners of her perfectly painted lips. You think any of that matters? Look around you. You think you can rewrite the ending? She stepped closer to Alice, knife glinting like a beacon, twisting the air with tension. Mia! Alice cried, her voice hoarse. Do something! With adrenaline fueling her, Mia filled her lungs, feeling the hair prickling on the back of her neck. You won't hurt anyone again. With a surge of defiance, she lunged toward Destiny. Just as the knife flickered toward Alice, Mia grabbed a nearby drink table, flipping it up in an instinctive protective move. Glass shattered and sprayed across the floor, cutting through the tense atmosphere and slamming into reality, as Destiny stumbled back, momentarily hindered. Go! Get Alice! Mia yelled, her eyes never leaving Destiny as the chaos rose all around them. Now! Frank nodded, diving to his friend's side, trying desperately to staunch the bleeding pouring from Alice's hand. Hang in there, Alice! Grabbing her father's arm, Mia pleaded with him. Help me understand. Why now? What were you hiding? He took a breath, grounding himself against the overwhelming storm of emotions swirling in the room. You were never safe in this world, Mia. I made mistakes, and protecting you meant making terrible choices. Is that what you think? That I wanted nothing more than to remain naive? The revelation threw her backward, but facing him made her resolve even stronger. No! Sarah screamed, breaking through the tide of chaos, glaring indignantly. You don't need to understand anything. You can't rewrite what's special, Mia. Why can't we? As they spoke, the shadows crept closer, haunting sighs resonating as if testing the boundaries of their strength. But beneath the chaos, a flicker of determination ignited within Mia. Take a stand. We're fighting for what's true, that all that matters now. In that fragile moment, unity pulled them together. Bonds she had been questioning slipped tightly back into place. They were not merely players, they were survivors. The crowd grew restless around them, whispers simmering with anticipation, yet the focus shifted. Was Mia really ready to reclaim her power? Steeling herself, she turned toward the shadows, her voice ringing out loud and clear. You will not take from me anymore. I'm reclaiming my life. And just like that, the winds shifted, the shadows began to recede as strength cascaded through her. The truth of her journey rushed in, twisting through each familiar face, grounding her in a sense of victory. As Destiny stumbled back, her confidence faltered, the blades slipping from her grasp. The crowd roared to life, resolving to support Mia, drawn into the crescendo of her triumph. Well, her father said, pride lifting the corners of his mouth suddenly as he stepped forward, standing alongside Mia, Isn't this quite the reunion? I'd say we've only just begun, Mia replied, glancing around her, meeting the eyes of her friends and family, strong against the rising storm. This was just the beginning of their story. They turned as one towards the darkness that had once loomed over them together. Now, before we wrap up this wild journey, I need you to take action now. Make sure you subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could blow your mind. Smash that like button now to show your love and feed the algorithm. Let us keep this amazing community thriving, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this explosive ending. What do you think happened after all this chaos? Who's the real puppet master? Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support and join the conversation. You need to be a part of what's coming next.